She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. Graduation weekend, college graduation, and high school graduation. And our guest co-host tonight, my favorite food lady, Miss Ann Falgu, had a daughter that graduated yesterday.
I did.
Did you cry a whole lot?
I cried enough this past month. I think I was just out of tears,
right?
Which is why I've been guzzling water all day because I'm out.
You were just ready. You were just ready.
Yeah.
It was time to happen.
It was.
So graduation is a very popular time to go out to eat. Did you guys go out to eat or did you cook?
We did. Well, Friday night, in anticipation for graduation, we carb loaded with a boat of sushi. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that.
We ate a boat of sushi, and then Saturday, the family got together and cooked, which is, something we love to do.
We did a crawfish boil when I graduated from high school.
Nice.
I feel like a lot of people probably do
you
that
around
fit
here. Right in with Vermilion Parish for sure.
Yeah, so. Right. So tell us a little bit about what you do. You wear many hats.
Yeah, so Economic Development Director for Vermilion Parish, and which means I'm back home in my home parish and have reconnected with their foodways. So lots of Cajun cooking at home, working with my kids in the kitchen. I have a 9-year-old who loves to cook, which is great because no one else does in my family. So it's great to cook with her, and I'm still doing the food column once a week for the Daily Advertiser on Wednesdays, Chef Ann specials.
And you've recently started a beer Instagram account.
Yeah. So my boyfriend and I were looking for something to do together, which ultimately means that I'm going to turn it into work, how I operate. So we started an Instagram account called Hoppy New Beer at the start of the new year. Something we can do together, share beer tastings and visit Marcello's a couple times a month and talk to the beer connoisseurs and taste something new.
So in the second half of the show, Ann and I are going to talk about home cooking because she's kind of my expert go-to for cooking at home because she does it a lot and she does it well. And we're going to kind of talk about some topics that come up with home cooking and a documentary series that I've been watching called Cooked. And I asked Ann to watch an episode before she came on the show today, and she did. So we're going to talk about that a little later in the show. Last week we talked about how I'm not going to say I'm dieting. I'll say I'm trying to find balance. So I've been cooking a lot more at home, not dining out so much. And I've been trying to incorporate low carb as well as vegetarian or vegan meals. And I've kind of made it a goal to show that you can eat some vegetarian and vegan meals, and I feel like everyone should be able to do it at least once a week. I've been trying to do it every other meal to try to incorporate it that much because I feel like I eat way too much meat, and you may not feel that way, and that's cool too. But I kind of want to prove that as a meat eater, you can eat a vegetarian vegan meal every now and then, and it doesn't have to be a boring salad or sautéed vegetables.
Absolutely.
Your boyfriend is a reformed vegan.
I love that you said reformed.
Funny story about that. I actually know 2 vegan males from Kaplan.
Right.
And apparently veganism is very popular in Kaplan. Who knew? And
it's really popular where you see a lot of food deserts, too.
Yeah.
People having limited access to organic and grass-fed beef and chicken and avoiding all the hormones can be tough in a small town that has maybe 1 or 2 grocery stores.
Right. So he's reformed.
Yeah.
You got him to kind of start eating meat.
It was my mother's fault, not mine. Yeah.
You're blaming your mom?
Yeah, she cooked an eggplant parmesan that conveniently had veal in the sauce.
Oh.
And from that moment on, it was. But we do that also. We're big fans of Meatless Monday,
right.
And I do have a daughter who doesn't really eat meat or like meat. So we love to incorporate lots of vegetables, and we have kind of a philosophy that it's not about sacrifice or
right.
substitution when it comes to, we're not trying to find necessarily replacements for meat. We're just trying to enjoy the vegetables and grains for what they really are.
So the other vegan that I know, his girlfriend, well, his wife made him her gumbo, and that's what broke him. And then he fell in love with her from that too.
It's always something.
So I feel like that's like it's like a with
home cooking does it every time.
So on that note, I attended a cooking class on Friday at the Urban Naturalist, and I'm gonna butcher it because it's in French. It's called Apéro d'Anaurore. And I don't
know what language that was.
that was supposed to be French. And the idea of it is that it's small plates that come together to make a big meal and to kind of fill you up, which is exactly what this meal was. I described the cooking class as cooking class meets dinner party meets backyard barbecue, because it was held outside in the garden at the Urban Naturalist. There was a jazz band that was playing, and we broke up into groups and we were making meals, and it was Lebanese themed, this one. So it was, surprisingly, what I noticed is that besides the tzatziki sauce, all of the items were vegan.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ingredients came from the garden that was directly behind us, or it came from local farmers. The person that was putting on the cooking class, her name is Aurora. Her and her husband have actually kind of started this sustainable eating project. So it's kind of where this kind of stems from. And they're going to be doing, I think they said they're going to be doing these cooking classes every 3 weeks. They're having one next week, which is not affiliated with them. It's just at the Urban Naturalist, and it's going to be cocktail gardening. And Paige Tate with Dark Rue is going to be there, and she's going to be making cocktails with a lot of the herbs that are found in the garden.
That's great.
Which I will say, we had like 4 cocktails that night, and they used a lot of the herbs from the garden. Some of the best cocktails I've had. They were so fresh. Just really fresh ingredients. It was so much fun to make your food. She said it was not a competition, but some people got into the competition.
But did you win?
I'm just going to say that my roasted red pepper and eggplant dip that my group made was the best one of the night.
Nice.
There was another group that managed to make all of the dishes. It was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. I don't think I'm ever going to eat store-bought pita bread again.
There's no
after
reason to.
having that fresh pita bread. I was just eating the pita bread. One of the girls was like, "Oh, you're just eating it?" I was like, "Yes, this is warm and delicious." And
we're going to talk about that too a little bit later, about why it was so much better.
Yes.
And there's some reasons for that.
Right, exactly. So it's fun. I'm going to try. They haven't posted any events yet. As soon as they post events, I'm going to share it on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page for people to check it out, because I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I love
they're
it.
doing. I've been taking a few different cooking classes every now and then, and I'm really enjoying them. And for me, cooking is stress relieving, and it's also been kind of a challenge to me to try to make something that tastes good, that's healthy, and it's low carb and doesn't necessarily have meat in it too. And it's kind of been fun to kind of play around and experiment with different ingredients and different meals. And not all of them are going to be winners. That's the whole, that's what experimentation is about. But it's been a lot of fun.
Well, and the great thing about it too, and I know we'll talk about this a little bit later, is that, bringing in other cultural foods, other ethnicities have done a great job in diversifying their kind of culinary expertise.
Right.
And so, we Americans tend to be very meat and potatoes, or down here meat and rice. So it's great to be able to kind of explore other avenues through other styles of cooking.
All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have Jennifer and Donna with Town Folk to talk about the Street Food Collective that's coming up at the beginning of next month. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now, the Lafayette Food Junkie Show, served up medium rare every Sunday night.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. I need to wish my mom a happy birthday really quickly. I forgot to do that in the first segment. It is her birthday today. She's 29. Actually, she tells people now that she's older, so they're like, "You look really good for your age."
That's smart.
She looks really young though. Like we have some good Wilson genes in our family her mom looks good for her age, and I'm told that I apparently look good for my age too. But happy birthday to her. And they're actually in Lafayette. So I may end up getting my dad on the show. He used to call in once a week. But I don't know how to work the phones, so we don't have call-ins right now. I'm still learning the boards.
It's the thought that counts.
So that hasn't happened, but my dad may make an appearance on the show. All right, joining us in studio is Jennifer and Donna with Townfolk, and they're here to talk about the Street Food Collective, which is coming up on June 4th. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks for having us again. Thank you.
Okay, so tell us what Townfolk is for anyone who isn't familiar with it.
Townfolk is a nonprofit organization that serves the Laplace residents, and we are all about just bringing the community of Laplace together. We're a service organization. We just are about trying to help everybody in the neighborhood that maybe is in need of different services and help.
I think last time you came on the show, one of y'all's projects is the Victory Garden. And I don't know if y'all had broken ground yet last time y'all came on the show. How has the progress been on the Victory Garden?
The progress has been great. I think the last time we came on the show, we were getting ready to do Victory Festival. So it was like the first annual Victory Festival. And we actually had the groundbreaking for the garden at the Victory Festival. And since then, we have completed phase 1 of the garden. So we had a fall and winter crop that was really great. And now we're into the spring and summer crop.
And that brings us to the Street Food Collective that's going to be happening on June 4th. It's going to be a fundraiser to build a pavilion for the Victory Garden, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So how did this idea come about?
The pavilion is actually, it was always part of the original plan for the garden. It's a design that comes from Hector LaSala from UL School of Architecture. And the intention is to put this structure in the garden as a way of actually inviting people to gather and to hang out in the garden. Sure, the neighborhood and anyone really is welcome to come and to pull from the garden as they need or as they want. But we also want people to hang around. And so it's a covered structure. It's got seating. And so, it's just an open, constant invitation that we want.
Do y'all foresee events being held there in the future? Is like that kind of one of the goals?
We would love to see events. We would love to see constant life in the garden. In fact, in the future, if people have things that they'd like to host in that space, we are totally open to that idea.
So the Street Food Collective is going to be a group of chefs that are coming together, and they are each picking a dish from a different region of the world. How much are tickets?
The tickets are going to be $50.
And they're on sale now, and you need to get them ahead of time, correct? Because
Yes.
they're kind of selling quickly.
Yeah, the tickets are available at streetfoodcollective.brownpapertickets.com.
All right, and where is the event being held, and what are the times?
So the event is going to be held at Warehouse 535, and it's going to be from 11:30 to 2:30, 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. on June 4th.
And it's family friendly,
Yes.
so bring the whole family out to come.
Yeah.
And I know some of the chefs, Jeremy Connor, Zach Doise, who was the former co-host on the radio show, is going to be doing, I think, jerk chicken. Colin Cormier and Rob Sandberg are doing something. Sammy Parabou is doing something. It's a huge group of local chefs that are coming together to support this.
Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, it's pretty unusual for a group of chefs like this to come out in support of an event, a fundraiser, during the day like this, because they're so busy at night. It's like for them to have to come out and do something during the day
And on
too.
a Saturday,
On a
too.
Saturday,
Yeah.
right. So we feel very, very honored.
So where can people go online to get more information and kind of see, because it's listed online, the different chefs that are participating and what each dish each chef is making?
Yeah, we have an event page online under Street Food Collective, and you can get all the information there, as well as the link for the site to buy the tickets at.
And I'll share it as well on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page for anyone to kind of see. But you want to get your tickets. I mean, the food events here sell out so quickly. You want to get your tickets sooner than later because you don't want to be the day of. I mean, it's not going to be the type of event that you can go the day of and get a ticket, correct?
No, we're not planning to have tickets available the day of. You have to purchase your ticket ahead of time. So, yeah, if you want a ticket, tickets are limited.
All right, and that's the Street Food Collective. It's happening June 4th, 11:30 to 2.
That's right.
$50 a ticket, and it's at the warehouse on, do you know the address offhand?
Yeah, it's 535 Garfield.
Okay.
So it's warehouse 535 over.
And you can go, does the Victory Garden have a Facebook page itself, or is it just all under Town Folk?
It's all under Town Folk.
And you can go like Town Folk on Facebook for more information.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
We are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with guest co-host Ann Falgoose. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
The best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining as guest co-host tonight is Ann Falgoose.
Hello, hello.
My favorite food lady with Ann Can Cook. Okay, I bought my ticket already to the Street Food Collective. You're looking at your schedule to see if you can go.
Right.
I'm excited that so many different international foods are coming to Lafayette, and this is a great opportunity to taste something from each country almost from around the world. I think that that's a cool idea.
That's great. I mean, and I think too, like people like Mary Patu and Jeremy Connor, who you might not be able to get their food anymore. You know, you might be able to enjoy their dinners unless you happen upon a pop-up or you get a special coveted invitation to their house. So that's really special too. And to have the chefs come together on a weekend.
Yeah. I mean, and Jeremy and Manny have both cooked at the James Beard House.
Yeah.
So come on, guys. Like, these are James Beard recognized chefs that you're going to get to come and taste their cuisine. I think that that's the coolest.
Pretty excited about it.
So I recently discovered Tun's Drive-In in Broussard, which it's been around forever, but I just discovered it. And it's the type of place that when you walk in during the week, there's like a group of older gentlemen there drinking their coffee and just talking about politics and stuff like that. And I love it. And they have a drive-through as well. You can hardly get homemade biscuits.
You can hardly get homemade anything these days.
Right. They have homemade biscuits and they are so good. It's just, I mean, it's comfort food. It's so comforting to me. I went this past week and got like an egg and cheese. No meat. No meat on this very
doesn't count then.
Highly caloric biscuit that was like filled with butter and comfort.
Well, and I mean, there's something so special about somebody actually making something for you from scratch.
I know, and I think that's part of the
that's
reason.
The comfort, you know.
And I've told that they have really good plate lunches as well, and also hamburgers. So I have to go back and try. I need to start exploring Broussard.
Yeah,
because I live not far from it, and there's a lot of little different things popping up. I'm obsessed with the Barrel, the new bar that opened up in there. Have you been there yet?
Haven't been there yet. But I know it's all about bourbon.
I mean,
so
you are a lover of whiskey, as I am, but you like bourbon.
I'm
and
a bourbon
I like
girl.
Rye. So you need to check it out because it's pretty cool. Apparently, yesterday was World Whiskey Day, and I had to celebrate. And I found out whiskey has no carbs, and I drink it straight. So I was like, perfect.
Really?
Yeah, no carbs, and red wine only has 4 carbs a glass. They say, like, okay, so the most popular low-carb diet is Atkins.
Right.
And for the first 2 weeks of Atkins, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. And people assume it's because it has a lot of sugar in it. And I mean, it does, but it doesn't. The reason why they tell you not to drink alcohol for the first 2 weeks is because you're already like detoxing from sugar, and it'll kind of trigger sugar cravings.
And I don't know about you, but if I'm having, whether it's a glass of wine or a cocktail, I'm gonna eat at some point afterwards.
See, and with red wine, I don't get like that. Like I'll eat. I mean, I can drink just a glass of red wine at night and I'm good. Like, I feel like
I want a hunk of
me
cheese
up.
or a piece of chocolate to go with that too.
Yeah, it fills me up, so I'm good. But that's why
it does though. Yeah, that's a good
that's
point.
why they tell you not to drink alcohol for the first 2 weeks, and then afterwards it's in moderation because it can still trigger those sugar cravings in the brain. But that was fascinating. Some fascinating research that I did this week.
It's a great reason to drink red wine,
right? And
as if you needed one. Now you have one.
I love that after the show last week, because I was talking about how much I missed red wine. A wine rep messaged me on Facebook and said, "Don't give up the red wine."
I love it.
So I've been trying to find every excuse to be able to add alcohol back into my diet, and whiskey,
I like your plan.
Whiskey has no carbs, and red wine has 4 grams of sugar, 4 carbs a glass. So there you go.
Not so bad.
And I drink whiskey out, and red wine is my home drink, but I won't drink a whole bottle. I'll just drink like 1 glass. Yeah, a bottle of wine will last me like a week.
Yeah, I like that too. I like it too, as a digestive. There's something about eating and drinking a glass of wine that just kind of pulls everything together. Not only just the taste wise, but just it makes you feel good and you're ready for bed, and something like you said, very comforting about that.
It just kind of relaxes you and like puts you in the decompress mood after a hectic day.
I mean, think about how long people have been drinking wine.
Forever.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be good for you. So, you're a very busy lady.
Yes.
But you manage to cook almost every night.
I cook a lot.
So how
I assemble or cook every night.
You prep. I'm sure you
Yeah.
meal prep. I'm sure that's the key to it.
Sometimes I like my prep usually comes in from the fact that I'm a very frugal person too, and so I love to buy things that are in season and fresh, or I buy a lot of meat and produce in bulk, and I'll prep that. I'll cut that down. I'll break down a whole pork loin into several roasts and pork chops, and that not only makes it easier on those days when I'm prepping for food, when I'm actually cooking, but it's good on portion control. It's good on organization. And, those are some things that I try to be really conscious of.
So how much time do you think you spend a day on cooking?
It depends. I would like to spend longer, but inevitably it'll probably be 30 minutes to an hour.
And that's
pretty average from what I'm understanding.
I had Anne watch the documentary Cooked. I think there was only 4 episodes of it, and it's narrated by Michael Pollan. Michael Pollan's a food writer, and he wrote a book called The Omnivore's Dilemma. And he kind of said that the average American spends 27 minutes a day cooking, which is half the time that it was in 1965. And I mean, think about it, like 30-minute meals that Rachel Way has become super popular.
Became popular for that.
From doing it. I don't know. I think that if you have 27 minutes a day, like that's fine.
I'm impressed that it's so long, to be very honest. I have a lot of friends who often tell me that they don't have time to cook, and my retort usually is, no, you don't make time to cook.
Right.
'Cause I can carve out 30 minutes while a batch of laundry is, between batches of laundry or between answering emails to clients. And it's become something that we've incorporated into our family time.
Because you're cooking together.
Right, which makes it a little bit easier. Everything from the grocery shopping part. I have a little sous chef who's 9, Lola, who just loves the picking out food. I teach her how to pick fresh produce, what to look for, what's good and what's not. She loves to prep, and then she loves to cook, and that has expanded her palate also, which was very narrow, which was the reason why I pulled her in the first place. But having her, her sit and cook with me while our guys, they'll play music or hang out and talk to us. It really kind of gives us a reason to hang out together, which is really special too.
I won't say I don't cook every night, but if I happen to have a night that I get off earlier, I'll cook that night and then I eat the leftovers. Or my favorite thing to do is with the leftovers, then create something new. So I did that when I made the veggie pad thai a few weeks ago, and I had the leftover veggies, and then I made a veggie curry with it later. That's one of my favorite. Or then like throwing an egg on it.
I love
That's
it.
like my favorite thing to do ever is throw an egg on
Put an
everything.
egg on it. That's what I do.
That would be the name of my recipe book, actually. Put an egg on it.
I'm not telling you the name of mine, but I do have one that's very kind of similar, actually. But I think you're right. Repurposing, I think, is the new cooking. Yeah, and which is great. It's kind of like upcycling,
it's
but with
that whole
food,
challenge thing too.
Absolutely.
It's like, what am I gonna create with this leftover food that's gonna taste amazing and be fun? I mean, it's that whole idea.
Reducing food waste is something that I'm really passionate about too. And I'm committed to practicing what I preach. So it's always about, what can I make with this, and what can I make with it after this? And is it easy to freeze? Is this gonna keep well? Is it gonna reheat well? And then figuring out ways to use prepared and unprepared ingredients, down the line in a day or so. Today we made huevos rancheros.
I know, it looked so good.
We actually made huevos rancheros nachos because the tortillas weren't where I thought they were, and it turned out great. And it was just using a 3-bean salad that we made earlier in the week. And, we pulled things together that we already had in the kitchen. We had some homemade salsa. And by the end of it, it was something better than, if we would have gone to the store, we wouldn't have come up with a product so great. And this was really just emptying out the refrigerator.
Right. So we were talking about this before the show. Every year for Mother's Day, I post on the Lafayette Food Junkie page, what's your favorite thing your mom made for you growing up? And up until this year, I've gotten a lot of, your standard like rice and gravy, gumbo, things like that. This year, I got a lot of, well, my mom didn't really cook. My dad cooked. And that's very popular for this part of the world. Cajun
Absolutely.
men love to cook. But I felt like they still got the glory meals and they didn't really do the everyday cooking kind of thing. In my house, my dad, that was his stress relief. I totally inherited that from him. Like he, liked to cook to release and unwind from the day. And it kind of was making me think about this trend that I was seeing of a lot of parents that aren't really cooking. And that brings us to the episode on water that you watched today with Michael Pollan. And what did you think of the episode?
Well, as I was telling Tiffany earlier, it touched on a lot of, my personal philosophies about cooking. And something that really hit home was the time that it used to take to cook things because of lack of convenience foods and, pre-made spice mixes and all these, crock pot meals and things like that. And the time that people invested into cooking made the eating experience so special too. And it really I think that's probably why Cajun culture is so rich with food, because it required us spending a lot of time in the kitchen because we were cooking with very humble ingredients. And so that time and effort and love that you have to pour into this meal, usually if if you're not a person of means, became really, really important. And I think that's really special, kind of given the fact that people are trying to get closer and closer to the food they eat.
Right. There's kind of been like a backlash to this. So in the documentary, they talk about how industrialized food started during World War II to feed the troops. And if you think about it too, during World War II is when women started working. And then so after the war ended, they were trying to figure out what to do with all these food products. And they started rebranded and remarketed to working women to help, ease the time in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
So at that time, it started with products that cut down on cooking time. So you were still preparing a meal, but it was kind of shortcuts. So think of like Campbell's condensed soups and like all the casseroles.
Right.
Those horrifying Jello molds.
I can't handle it.
Stuff
I
like
call
that.
that semi-homemade. That's
I
the
call
assembly.
That Frankenstein food. Some of the stuff that came out during that decade is just terrifying. It's like hot dishes.
Yeah.
Very, very popular. So that's what it started out as. And then we go into it's called the era of the TV dinner. So then they started taking cooking out completely.
Right.
And you're just heating up frozen, already made meals into kind of what it's morphed into today. And so you have a generation of people that aren't cooking. They're not passing down how to cook to their children. So it keeps going. But then you have a group of people that are kind of retaliating against that.
Yes,
and I would say
it.
that with Cajun
Love
culture too. I know people my age that they're like, I don't know how to make this. I don't know how to make that. But then you have a group of people that are like trying to get that culture and keep it alive, and then they're carrying that down to their children, and like you're teaching your children how to work. So you maybe the majority of people really aren't cooking that way, but then you still have a small percentage of the population that's kind of retaliating against that, and they're like, no, I want to cook my food, I want to know where my food comes from, I want to get back in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Like I have a love-hate relationship with the new kind of at-home delivery meal services. I love that people are getting back in their kitchen. Sometimes I hate the extravagance of it because, if I'm not going to make rice pilaf with stuffed chicken breast and, making rosette flowers out of cucumber slices, sometimes I think it goes a little extreme, but I do love the fact that people are kind of...
It's getting them curious
and
wanting to learn.
They're learning techniques in the process too about what a real saute is, how should I dice my vegetables, and just techniques on meat preparation and things like that. So that's the real exciting part, is that people are seeing, wait, it's not so overwhelming, and it's not daunting, and it doesn't take a degree or a special training to cook. You can start in your own home.
See, I like those programs because I think it's an opening door. And then even the Food Network,
really is.
The Food Network, how popular food has become.
Food apps.
Right.
The Yumly app, all these great new apps that people are love them or hate them. People are figuring out that food's a lot more accessible to them.
Something else with cooking at home too, and I'll kind of touch on this a little bit. So with trying to eat better, I've been eating at a lot of chain places, and I'm very local all the way. But the one good thing about chain places is that they have nutritional values online. So for instance, I ate at Chipotle this week, and I could build my bowl and it would tell me how many carbs it has in it, because that's what I was monitoring. That's one of the good things about chain restaurants, is that they have that. But at the same time, you have to trust that the person making your food is portioning it to the the same that it is in that nutritional meal when they made it. When you do it at home, you can watch that a little more.
You have a lot more control, and additives and enrichments have their place, but sometimes we end up, by using convenience foods or eating out, you run the risk of getting things in your food that you don't necessarily know are in your food. Like we joke that corn's in everything, even my toothpaste and this water bottle and my keys. And so sometimes you don't want to consume those things either for dietary restriction purposes, allergies, or you just want to actually know what's literally in your body. And
when you're cooking it yourself, you get
to see that. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with Ann. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
From Boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany, and we've been talking with Anne Falgout about cooking at home, and we've been talking about the Michael Pollan documentary, Cook. You guys can check it out. It's on Netflix. It's only 4 episodes. I thought it was a lot longer than that, and so I've apparently watched all of them but the last one. Did you get to watch any of the other episodes, or you just watched the one on water?
I'm itching to, though.
Well, the one on water, when I watched it, I specifically had Anne in mind to talk about it on the show because it was a lot about cooking your own food. And I mean, that's what she does and that's what she's a proponent of. So I was very much like, you should watch this episode. They had another really cool one that was almost all about bread and how in Morocco it is illegal to cut your bread with a knife because that's how sacred it is. And
breaking bread.
Yeah, it's just, and how like
phenomenon. A
lot of like wars, grain wars have started because if you can't afford anything, you can afford bread. And that's just, it kind of talks about, I love how it goes into the science of the food
and the history of
the
it,
marketing
right.
of food, the history of food. It in each episode goes into a different area of it. It's a really cool documentary to watch.
Very well done. Very well done.
So the water one was on cooking at home, and they kind of talked about the Indian culture and how they're the most resistant to westernized food, but that's changing because they're trying to market to the younger generation about how social it is to eat. And I think they said like really sexy and like fun and like flirtatious
young
commercials.
Right.
So the younger generation is starting to eat out more, and the culture still eats. A lot of them work, but they have services where people cook in their home, and I think it's called tallies, and people go and deliver these tallies, and it's so they're eating out, but it's home cooked meals.
Right.
But these like fast food places are becoming more and more popular because it's easy and it's convenient. And they kind of they showed a family that just like ordered, I guess it was KFC, but it was this really weird chicken. They called them chicken burgers.
It looked like just like a piece of fried chicken on a piece of bread. I
don't know. It looked weird to me. It looked like not like what we would eat, like normal KFC, like chicken stuff. It looks weird. And they were all watching TV and kind of, you know, basically becoming Americans is what it's saying. So what did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was really interesting, and I love the way the Indian culture was. They really focused on that element of historical preservation, really talking about the tradition of passing down cooking from one generation to the next. Because I think it's so much more about food. It's so much more than just food. You know, it's about family traditions and the sacred meal and eating together and sharing in that fellowship. I thought that was really special and it took it to a different level. Whereas, you know, I think lately in an effort to get people to have better relationships with food, people often try to change the relationship we have with food. Oh, it's fuel. It's just a necessity. And the Indian culture is kind of saying, wait a minute, it's more than that. It can be more than that. It can mean family and tradition, which I think is really kind of beautiful because there's a balance. Like you said, the whole idea of not dieting and seeking out balance instead, and really having a healthy relationship with food is something that was touched on, which was great. And I love the fact that even in the convenience foods and the industrialized foods in India, several companies are making a huge effort to incorporate local spices and get the taste
right. That's exactly what I was going to talk about, the marketing of it and how that episode was very apparent how food is marketed to us and what we eat, even as Americans, how it's marketed to us. So they talked about this ramen company, and this ramen company has Michelin-starred chefs working for it, and they make chicken tandoori, and it's this beautiful chicken tandoori that they're working to get the flavor in a powder to go into the ramen.
Exactly.
And when I was watching that, I was like, who's eating that chicken tandoori? And please tell me that you're not just throwing it out, because it looked gorgeous and I want to eat the chicken tandoori. I don't want to eat the ramen.
And I love the fact that they're saying, so we have garam masala and the other spices that we're using, the paprikas, and, it doesn't have to, the end product in the convenience side and the industrial side doesn't have to be so different than what we make at home. And there are some ways that we can keep it as simple as possible and reduce, one of their efforts is reduce the sodium content and really kind of be honest about what kind of flavors are unique to those dishes and how can we make sure that shines through, because that obviously keeps people a customer, but also keeps people in their kitchen and wanting to participate. And the people who are designing the recipes really do care about food too, and honoring those traditions. So it's a great episode. It's a short episode, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, they're only about they're 45 minutes. They're about 45 minutes long, and it's only 4 episodes. So you guys should really check it out.
Really well done. Really well done.
So did I ever ask you on the show what your death row meal would be?
I'm not sure you did. It would. I have an answer.
Go for it.
Well,
I'm asking you now.
Usually, when people ask me what my favorite food is, I'll say boiled crawfish, hands down, and it is. But it is much more about the experience than I think the food. Something about it. I love the process of it. But death row meal, assuming that I would be by myself, I would definitely have a breakfast for dinner kind of situation.
Oh.
I am a diner breakfast girl.
I like that. That too.
Over easy eggs or sunny eggs and grits and bacon. I mean, that's the way to my heart.
Why do you think Vermilion Parish is considered the most Cajun parish?
If the parishes in South Louisiana were all historical novels, we would be the most historically accurate, I think.
Really?
I think it's because of tradition, because we isolated ourselves in such a way that allows us to maintain some authenticity. This culture hasn't really, people might argue that it's been bastardized and that we've changed it. But really at the heart of it, you can still walk into a little cafe and hear people speaking French. You can drive in Erath and the stop signs say arrête instead of stop. They're in French, and people still kind of embrace everything that it means to be Cajun, hardworking, ingenuity, creating something out of nothing. And that's something that the episode talked on too. Being able to take humble ingredients like an onion and turn it into something that you're scraping the pot to get to. Everybody wants the gravy. And I think that's something that is not lost on Vermilion Parish residents, which makes me love them even more.
We have about 3 minutes left, so I want to quickly ask, is a cookbook coming?
Well, so I've been doing at least one recipe a week since 2011. So there are several.
You have a lot in your repertoire.
Several hundred recipes and several hundred stories. So right now I'm just trying to figure out what the goal is going to be and what the format's going to be. You will definitely see something come out eventually. But really, it's all about me being able to find the medium to share my love of cooking with someone. So if a cookbook's the way to do it, that's what I'll do.
Did you ever have a dish that just totally tanked?
Oh God, yes.
It was horrible. No one liked it. And did you write about it?
No, I don't write about it. You only see the good stuff. But there are several meals that have tanked. You had one of them. I had a curry chicken dish. You remember? We had a toasted chickpea curry chicken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was not my shining moment, but that happens, and that's okay. And I think
it's part of the process.
Yeah, we ended up making a curry chicken salad out of that chicken that was kind of lackluster, and that was amazing. So
redeemed itself.
Yeah, there's always room for
the second time around.
And sometimes people who even people who hate leftovers like me can turn something that wasn't so great into something that's pretty good. So I'm gonna keep trying at least.
Right. I mean, they're not all gonna be winners, but I think the important thing is to try, and then you can always tweak it. I mean, I went to a bar last night and I was watching the bartenders make a a variation of the French 75. They made like 3 different versions of it because I mean they're playing with it to try to get the flavors right for what they were wanting to do. I mean that's what a chef does. That's what a home cook has to do too.
Right.
They have to play with the recipe until they get it right, and so it works. And I mean, even if you like it, it's not necessarily. Was there anything that you liked and then you served it and your kids were like, "This is horrible"?
That happens pretty much on a weekly
All
basis.
the time.
Their palates
the
are
kids' palate.
Yeah, they're not quite as sophisticated as I'd like, but we made a homemade ramen broth. I made one with my daughter. It was beautiful. And we used things that we had. I think I bought one ingredient that I didn't have in my kitchen already, which was great. And to kind of see them develop the palate for umami flavors was just
my favorite
kind
word, umami.
It was so special. I usually say unctuous, but that doesn't go over well. So, and in all situations, this was just really brothy and flavorful and aromatic, and they kind of fell in love with it. So that was exciting for me. So they'll grow.
And it is always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank
you so much for joining me. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This has been the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. And my name is Tiffiany Deku. Happy eating, Acadiana.